Item B, the Natural Resources Commission minutes are both information only. Are there any questions from the committee? If not, we'll move on to item number 4, the omnibus vote. Vice Chairman Petrella, I'll leave that to you.
Yes, Chairman, I would like to move to approve the omnibus as presented.
Second.
That was moved by Alderman Petrella and seconded by Alderman Sakaitis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 5, the Police Department. 5A is a recommendation to approve a parking lot closure for the 2021 fabric art installation. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Commissioner. So this is the basic material and is identified in your packet. This is going to take place in the checkerboard lot. Here to my left, your right, Friday, August 20th and Saturday, August 21st. The St. Charles Arts Council is just looking for the parking lot to be closed. You'll see a picture of the fabric that's going to be placed on the south wall here of the Municipal Center. I don't think it's on screen, but it should be in your packets and your agenda items. It should look like this. So I'm just seeking approval to close the parking lot for 2 days. I can answer any questions you might have.
Okay, there's a motion to approve by Alderman Lencioni. Is there a second? Okay, with a second by Alderman Bongard. Is there any questions or comments from the committee? With that said, is there any questions or comments from the public or the petitioner?
We have two questions that we've heard the opportunity, and I'm wondering, would it be okay if
Yeah, please state your first and last name.
I'm sorry, I'm Kathy Hill from the Arts Council. And we were wondering, the point was made that with Jazz Fest coming up in September, would you have a problem if we left it up until Jazz Weekend?
And that would encompass like 4 to 6 weeks, or?
It was probably 4 weeks, you think so? I'm not positive when the Jazz Weekend is, until in September.
Actually 3, really. Jazz Weekend is the 10th, 11th, 12th.
Oh.
Okay. So we don't think it's 1 extra.
So it's 1 extra week.
Okay, we could leave that up for the committee as well. I would have no opposition to leaving that up for 3 or 4 weeks, or even a little bit longer, in my opinion. But are there any questions?
That is the maker of the motion. We're just making a motion to close the lot, the lot to put it up. We're not discussing how long it stays up or anything like that right now.
Not necessarily, but it could come up, and I guess we could address it if it does.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. Just want to make sure that you can get it up. Seems cool.
Yeah.
Alderman Paylider.
Chief, did we voted before on permission to put it up, correct? We did. Yeah, so that is what we'd have to extend. But I don't remember. Yeah, or what the actual motion. I have no objection either. But yeah, just that. Yeah.
I think they requested 2 weeks, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to amend that?
Okay, sure. I would like to make an amendment to my motion, and I would like to move to approve the parking lot closure as noted in the agenda, and including with that, extend the amount of time from previously allotted 2 weeks to extend that 2 additional weeks to be up. So that's the full motion I'm making.
Okay, thank you. And there was a second. Do you agree to that?
Yep.
And Bongard seconds that. Please call the roll.
I have a question real quick.
I'm sorry.
Are you saying extend that parking lot closure?
No.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Jump to go then. Okay, please call the roll.
Sakaitis?
Yes.
Paylighter?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrella?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That passes.
Mr. Chairman, can I just make one more comment?
Sure.
And I kind of already mentioned it to Sue. No more than when we approve putting up the flags or whatever, that if we have a storm and it starts to look like it's falling apart, maybe that, yeah. That would be the only reason. Yeah, good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 6, Public Works Department, 6A, First Street Plaza Project Update and Request to approve professional services agreement with Serena Sturm for construction document phase.
Mr. Chairman. Just let the record show I'm going to recuse myself from this for a potential conflict. So
Alderman Bongard will be abstaining. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Now you can look at your screens. I think this presentation is there for your pleasure on your screens in front of you. This agenda item is in regards to the First Street Plaza project and is a continuation of the discussion that we had a few months ago in February, recognizing that there's some new faces in front of me tonight. I have some repeat information to share, but I promise I'll be brief with that. If more information is desired, I certainly welcome any of you to meet with me or the design team at any point in time just to get caught up on the project or refresh yourself. I'm pleased to announce tonight that we have remained on schedule, and the design development phase of the project, which was approved back in February, is now complete. So tonight we are seeking approval of the next phase of the project, which is called construction documents or final engineering. This is the phase right before bidding and construction. The design team, including architect Marty Serena and his consultants, have continued to develop the project with feedback from various stakeholders, including the St. Charles Initiative, the Historic Commission, the City of St. Charles Department Review Team, the various public comments and local business community feedback that we've received, and of course you have had the opportunity to provide comment, and we certainly welcome more if you have it. So I'll start by going through a series of images just to get everybody re-familiarized with the project and perhaps maybe familiar with the project for the first time tonight. Quite frankly, the overall concept and design has not changed much since February, only refined. So the first images here that you see provide an overview of the entire project, especially the photograph on top. The large egg-shaped gathering plaza surrounded by the solar panel covered trellis and walking path remain the focus for public gathering. Walkway and ramp systems continue to allow for pedestrian-friendly access through the project site, and the meandering pavement system from Main Street to Walnut will permanently close First Street and is designed to allow for unobstructed pedestrian passage through the site and also for emergency vehicles if needed. It creates natural areas along the path for things like seasonal markets and holiday displays. That wasn't working. Let's see if I can get this to change. There we go. Okay, this aerial image shows the reconstruction of the manor wall and how the existing west and east plaza of the adjacent restaurant outdoor areas integrate nicely into the design. A little closer look at the egg-shaped plaza. Gathering plaza reveals the solar panels on top of the trellis, an accessible ramp system leading down to the fishing platform. This is another image showing the scale of the trellis and opportunities for bike and walking connectivity. The next several images represent a leisurely stroll through the plaza. This one in particular highlights the brick floor patterns that have been developed, and the walking paths and plaza surfaces remain completely ADA accessibility, allowing for all to enjoy. Wayfinding signs will be displayed through the plaza and provide opportunities to inform our guests of upcoming events. The multi-purpose space provides for open markets, al fresco dining, and special events. There remains a nice balance of green landscape areas and hard surfaces. And there are many opportunities through the plaza for standing, gathering, or really sitting on built-in benches, and you can see some of those benches in this photograph here. And to finalize it, this is a view that's actually underneath the trellis, obviously looking at the Baker Hotel in the background, going up from the ramp that gets you down to the fishing platform. So now that we've taken a quick tour of the project, I'd like to focus on the latest project schedule and cost estimate. The image on the right represents the entire scope of the overall project, which we are calling Phase 1 and Phase 2. In regard to the overall cost that you'll see on the left-hand side in the schedule, I'd like to perhaps start with a little history, mainly for the new aldermen. Back in October of 2020, the project budget was established at roughly $4 million. This included a property purchase of the 1 West Main Street for $1 million. So therefore, the remaining budget for construction and the associated professional services was about $3 million back in October of 2020. At that time, however, the scope of the project was significantly different, and the closure of First Street really at that time wasn't even contemplated, so that was brought into the design and the scope. That being said, since then, some of the portions of the project have grown in scope and cost, and others have actually reduced in scope and cost, kind of balancing out. So where do we stand today? Currently, at the end of design development phase, our complete project cost estimate, including construction and professional services, is $3,459,000, about, which is an increase of about 15% since the discussion back in October of 2020. This is also about a 7% increase from our discussion in February. So obviously, we're not moving in the right direction in regards to cost on this project, but I would like to maybe explain what we're going to do to try to mitigate those costs and scope of the project. The main contributor, though, especially recently, has been the volatility of the recent construction market, especially on materials like wood and steel. They're just really hard to pinpoint right now. So I will say that our estimators at this point in the game have just been overly cautious in regards to that. It's a little bit of an unknown. So there's a few things that we will consider and continue to monitor as we move forward with this project into the next phase. Number one, I just mentioned it, market conditions. We'll continue to look at the market conditions, especially in the near future, and maybe they'll settle by the time we bid most of this project. The scope of the project, we will continue to look at reducing scope on the project without jeopardizing the intent, the concept, the idea. And I think there's ways to do that, especially with things that are underground or things you can't see. One way that we can do that also is to use bid alternatives and potential phasing of the project more than we are even considering now. We'll be working with our consultants and establish alternatives which can be bid separately, almost like a shopping list. And therefore, that's an easy way at the time of bidding to pick and choose what you can afford at the time, and then those left behind can maybe be phased in at a later date. And the fourth thing that we'll be monitoring is our fundraising opportunities. And this is, as you know, a private-public partnership, and we'll be continuing to work with the St. Charles initiative to determine if any cost increases can be tolerated or not. So those are some things that we're really going to be focused on in the next several months before construction starts. The overall project will take about 9 months to construct, just to give you an idea of time frame. So now in regards to scheduling, oh, that's the wrong way. There we go. In regard to scheduling and phasing of the project, the design team is ready and confident that we can finish the construction documents and specifications for the entire project by around Labor Day and have the project started at that point in time. However, at this time, it appears that we will only be ready to bid and construct phase 1 of the project. The remainder of the project, phase 2, will be ready for bid and construction at any time in the future. The plans, in essence, will be on the shelf, ready to go and bid, and will depend on fundraising efforts for the rest of the project. This slide that's in front of you represents the scope, cost, and schedule for phase 1 of the project. Again, as a little bit of background, phase 1 of the project is currently funded. The city has a $1 million budget in our current fiscal year and have committed for this project as part of that budget process. Currently, there is $598,000 remaining in this budget, which includes a $94,000 riverboat grant that we received. The cost estimate for phase 1 is currently $510,000. So we've got a little. Right now, if the costs come in at that point in time, we'll have enough in the bank, so to speak, in the city's budget to accomplish phase number 1. Construction, as I mentioned, can start after Labor Day and be complete by winter. The scope for phase 1 includes constructing a structural wall along the existing manor wall adjacent to the river, and that will be used to provide and fill the manor hole that sits there today to create a safe and usable outdoor public space. At the end of phase 1, the space, which is currently fenced off and not usable to the community, will be accessible and green space that would be able to be used by the community, or ready for construction phase 2, which is the rest of the remainder of the project. So I went through a lot there. We do have one item to take care of tonight. The last order of business for this agenda is the recommendation to approve a professional services agreement with Serena for the construction document phase of the project in the amount of $182,805. In consideration of the public and private partnership for the project, the St. Charles Initiative has agreed to pay $100,000 of those fees, which represents about 55%. Therefore, that would be a reimbursable back to the city. The city would be obligated in this phase of the project to pay the remainder $82,805. So again, with approval of this next phase of the project, the entire project and the defined phase 1 of the project can remain on schedule. And as presented tonight, staff anticipates being back in front of this committee in August and September with hopefully favorable bids for phase number 1 and an update on how funding is going for phase number 2. With that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you. I'll start down this end with Alderman Weber.
Thank you. Yes, Peter, so the 182K, is that to design the whole project?
That is
We decided to do just the one portion for now with the $500-something that's remaining. The 182 is for everything though?
This is for the construction document phase for the entire project. And the reason we did it that way and not just parcel off phase 1 is that then we'll be ready, shelf ready, as I suggested before, to move this project into phase 2 as fast as we want. So we'll have the documents ready for bid, and phase 2 can sit on the shelf, and then when the funding is ready for phase 2, come this spring, next summer, whenever it may be, we won't need to go back and do the construction documents, which would take about 3 months to complete. That's the reason for continuing. And there's some other reasons. I mean, it just makes sense at this point in time to continue producing documents for the entire project as opposed to pull out a portion of that project.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, question.
We're all.
Hi. The bidding process for Serena Stone, do they handle the bidding with a third party, or are you guys involved with that? How does it, or is it a collaboration? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a collaboration. The city, at the end of the day, will hold the contracts for the bids. Most likely, we haven't decided yet, but most likely this will be a general contractor type bid. So we'll have one single agreement to approve with the general. Now the general will have multiple subs below them, especially on phase 1. This is a pretty simple phase 1 project. As we get into phase 2, there's going to be carpenters and steel and all sorts of other trades that will be underneath the general contract.
Okay. But are you aware of all the bids and all of that stuff? Do they I guess, are you present when that's happening, or is it just with Serena Stone? Are you?
No, we're present. That's
okay.
That's a publicly bid process.
Okay.
So we haven't decided whether we're going to have the actual bid opening in public. Sometimes we do that outside of public, but it's all we'll have the results from all of the bidders on this project, and that'll all be transparent.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No specific questions. Thanks, Peter, for your description. Just I support the agreement, and the plans look great. So.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just excited. Get her done.
Thanks, Paul. Alderman Payleitner?
Peter, you said something that kind of, I go, when you're doing the budget considerations moving forward, phase 1, phase 2, and you'll go back to the initiative and see if it's tolerated. Did you mean budget adjustments? Did you mean design adjustments, or both, or?
No, well, I think that, you know, that has been a team that we've been meeting with regularly, generally a week or so before we meet with you, and so they have they've been up to date with any design changes or any scope differences. Quite frankly, it hasn't changed that much in the last 2 phases. I think what I meant by that, and maybe I can say it a little differently, is that we recognize today the budget is roughly $500,000 more than it was in 2020. So one thing to consider is, would the initiative like to keep the project the same way and just raise a little bit more money?
Okay.
Or do we really need to dig in and try to reduce scope and get that project back on budget?
Okay, thanks. So you meant both?
I meant both.
Yeah, good. Okay,
Both.
thank you. Thank you.
Alderman Sakai?
Just a question. You got a total of $510,600 construction. Was that an estimate?
Estimate. This is all
Thank you.
estimate.
I didn't
Until
see
we
that
get
on there.
bids, we will not.
I didn't think so. I just wanted to make sure. That's the estimated from your best guess at the moment. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Pittleton?
Sorry, one more quick question, Peter. When all this construction starts, I'm guessing it'll be after our Plaza dining season, yes or no? Or we'll work around it?
It's a good question, and I didn't mention this, but I think it's worth mentioning. Back in, I believe, December, the city council did approve a resolution to close First Street temporarily for the use for outdoor dining. So this is in direct conflict with that resolution. Now, I did look at that resolution, and we don't necessarily need to redo that resolution because it gives an out clause, which simply says that the city administrator has the right to open it up at any point in time. So I don't think that there's any reason to formally approve that, but it is a good point. The city council did approve this First Street temporary closure until what it says in the resolution is until the snow flies. And most likely we will have to open up First Street, at least partially, intermittently perhaps, for the construction.
Okay. And I guess I was more concerned with noise and dust and whatever for like Ultra Brewery or the 3 or 4 places that are using the West Side Plaza. Do you see that being an issue or not really?
Yeah, I don't even know if I have a perspective on that, but you're exactly right. It's going to be a construction zone, and how that conflicts with, you know, the restaurant or general public gatherings in that space is going to be different than it is today.
Because, you know, all the fingers and toes are crossed, then we have a nice long season like we did last year. So it could be going probably another 6 weeks, in theory, after Labor Day. Okay, thank you.
Something to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, one more question. You know, being late to the party as far as just get on to the city council, has all the design decisions already been made as far as like the fishing platform and stuff like that? Is that like a done deal? I don't know where we're at with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is the 4th or 5th phase of the project. And so we actually even went through a whole public vetting process that the public commented on it, and it goes back probably a good year ago where we actually started this process and developed some goals for the project. That kind of took a shift when we decided that First Street is better permanently closed, and so we modified the design at that point in time. But I would say that the design is done at this point in time.
But when I hear fishing platform around pedestrians, it just makes me a little bit nervous. Someone getting a lure stuck in their ear.
And maybe I should change the word of that. I call it the fishing platform, and I've heard other people call it that. I don't know if that necessarily is the intent of the plaza down there. It's the lower level right next to the...
Can you fish from that platform?
Is there a sign that says no fishing? I think you can, but I don't know if
I don't want someone like throwing
fish.
fish on the concrete while families are walking, like, you know.
Yeah. It's the same one there. Yeah, nothing's going to be different than the platform that currently exists.
So they can fish from it then?
I think they can. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen anybody fish from that spot, though.
Okay. You said? Say it again?
They will now.
Now they will.
They probably will once there's people walking around, yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments?
But, well, and as a follow-up to, can we put a no fishing sign there? Is that like, I mean, is that, or legal to do that, or is it open, is it free, so we can't?
I'd have to get back to you on that. I don't know off the top of my head.
Just curious.
I would imagine if that's our desire, then we probably could.
Well,
At least
throw
put
a sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's not really a thoroughfare where that fishing.
No.
No, so if you're only going there to fish or, you know, look at the river, it's not like you're on your way to someplace else to get a hook in your ear or something, yeah.
Well,
I hear you, yeah.
It's all fun and games till someone gets a hook in their ear, right?
Okay, Peter, just to be clear then, ideally, according to the schedule, if things work out, you know, just perfect. Labor Day, you break ground, or right around that September, correct? And then completed, it looks like within 2 months?
Completed by the time.
2 to 3 months?
Yep. And it's a tight schedule, so we're probably a little bit after Labor Day before we actually break ground, but we'll be done before winter sets in.
But at the end of this phase, that means that hole will be filled?
Be filled?
And I think we talked a little bit about the possibility of grass there, but I know it's going to be late in the year. So what do you expect there, just to be some kind of topsoil or something?
Yeah, at that point in time, I mean, we'll be getting ready for winter, so, you know, we'll put down some seed and blanket, and then the spring will be when it really starts to germinate and become useful as a plaza.
And it will be usable then?
Yes.
In November, you think, or?
Yeah, we could probably get,
Or December for like holiday homecoming?
Yeah, I think so. We'd have to work through the details on how to actually get the ground stabilized by that time, but that's something we can work on.
Okay, perfect. Okay, any other questions or comments?
One question. Will there be power provided, like, let's say, shows are put there or performances or something? There's going to be plenty of power available there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move to approve.
It's been moved for approval by
Second.
Alderman Petrola,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Wirball.
I have a question.
Ron?
Just thinking about the pathways, is there going to be a railing then along the river? Is that planned? If you're going to open up to the
There is,
public,
yes.
there's a railing planned where the wall is now, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So that's been moved and seconded. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Please call the roll.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Leitner,
Yes.
We have an idea.
Montioni,
Yes.
Petrola,
Yes.
Wirball,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That passes. Thank you, Peter. Item number 6G is a recommendation to award the bid for asphalt grinding and patching program. Good evening.
Good evening. Public Services staff has been working with our engineering division to identify areas throughout the community in need of asphalt patching services. To avoid multiple mobilization fees, we alternate this program between the east and the west sides of the city. Last year we did the west side, so this year's program will return to the east side of the community. We prepared a bid for a 2-inch Class D patch for essentially just a simple grind and overlay working on the surface. We received 5 bids, with J.A. Johnson Paving of Arlington Heights being the lowest responsible bidder. Johnson's done MFT work for us in the past, and they won this bid actually last year in 2020, and we got good results. Last year I noted that this is the 5th year now that we've done this program. Last year was the lowest prices we received, and Johnson beat their own price this year, so at $17.99 per yard. These are the best prices we've gotten in 5 years, which is unique to see the prices going down. So it's my recommendation to award the bid for the 2021 asphalt patching program to Johnson Paving in the amount of $17.99 per square yard of material replaced.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions from the committee on this?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved for approval by Alderman Leitner and seconded by Alderman Montioni. Please call the roll.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Leitner.
Yes.
Bonner.
Yes.
Montioni. Yep. Petrola,
Yes.
Wirball,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That passes unanimously. Item 7, an executive session. I do not believe there's anything scheduled for that. Thank you. And then item 8, additional items from Mayor Vitek. She's looking over there. Our council, staff, or citizens, anybody in the public? Okay, with that said, Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, sir.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, this meeting's adjourned.